The cosmic underdogs. The Tylorian ambassador's laughter cut through the assembly hall like shards of crystal. Captain Ilara Chen maintained her composure as the 9-foot-tall insectoid continued what humans had come to recognize as the standard galactic response to Earth's technological achievements. Patronizing amusement. And you propose to increase your interstellar presence with these. The ambassador's translator device couldn't hide the condescension in his clicks and chirps as holographic images of Earth's newest fleet of exploration vessels hovered above the presentation platform. The Horizon-class vessels represent a 42% improvement in efficiency over our previous generation, Chen explained, keeping her voice steady despite the burning in her chest. We've developed a modified graviton compression system that. Captain Chen interrupted Diplomat Zorvac of the Meridian Collective, his gelatinous form pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that indicated what humans had learned was the alien equivalent of eye-rolling. Your species has been spacefaring for less than 3 centuries. The technology you're describing was considered obsolete by most council members before your ancestors discovered fire. More laughter rippled through the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Concordat. 37 spacefaring civilizations, most with histories spanning thousands or tens of thousands of years, all united in their consensus. Humans were cosmic children playing with toys they barely understood. Chen glanced at her second-in-command, Dr. Sanjay Patel, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. They'd expected this reaction. They'd prepared for it. In fact, they counted on it. We appreciate the Council's feedback, Chen replied, bowing slightly. Earth will continue our modest development at our own pace. As they left the assembly hall aboard their shuttle, Patel finally dropped his diplomatic facade. Condescending jellybags, he muttered, collapsing into his seat. Did you see the Arcturian delegation? I swear they were recording our presentation just to share it at whatever passes for comedy clubs in their nebula. Chen secured her harness as the shuttle disengaged from the massive Concordat station orbiting Proxima Centauri. It went exactly as expected, Sanjay. They're not paying attention to us. That's precisely what we need. Doesn't make it any less humiliating, Patel replied. He pulled up a secure quantum-encrypted channel on his DAVAD. Director Hassan is waiting for your confirmation. Chen pressed her thumb against the authentication panel. Tell him we're green across the board. The Concordat suspects nothing. The real meeting, the one that mattered, would begin once they reached Earth. The Quantum Fold Project facility lay buried 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor. No satellite surveillance, no matter how advanced, could penetrate its natural and artificial shielding. As Chen and Patel descended in the high-speed elevator, decontamination fields swept over them, removing any potential tracking nanotechnology that alien species might have planted on them. Director Omar Hassan waited for them in the central command hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing real-time simulations of exotic physics phenomena that would give even the advanced Meridian Collective pause. I take it our friends in the Concordat were their usual charming selves? Hassan asked, his weathered face creasing with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. They laughed, as expected, Chen replied. The Tylorians were particularly amused by our quaint graviton compression system. Perfect. Hassan nodded. The more they underestimate us, the better our chances. Walk with me. The 3 of them moved through the gleaming facility, passing laboratories where Earth's brightest minds worked on technology that defied conventional understanding of physics. The project had operated in absolute secrecy for 15 years, known only to a select few in Earth's unified government. We've accelerated the timeline, Hassan explained as they approached the observation deck. The Arcturians have been expanding their territory along the Orion Arm more aggressively than we anticipated. If we don't establish ourselves as a legitimate power soon, we might find ourselves boxed in completely. The observation deck looked down upon an enormous construction bay, where a sleek vessel unlike any conventional spacecraft took shape. At first glance, it seemed impossibly small for interstellar travel, barely 100 meters long, with an iridescent hull that seemed to shift and distort as if it couldn't decide which reality it belonged to. "The Defiance," Hassan said with unmistakable pride. "Our answer to 10,000 years of galactic condescension." Chen felt her breath catch. She'd seen the simulations, reviewed the theoretical models, but seeing the actual vessel was something else entirely. "How soon can she fly?" "That's why you're here," Hassan replied. "We're ready for a full systems test, and you're going to captain her on her maiden voyage." Patel let out a low whistle. "Sir, with all due respect, the projected timeline had put the first crewed test at least 6 months from now. The quantum matrix stabilizers haven't completed full stress testing, and the dimensional anchor systems are still." "We don't have 6 months," Hassan cut him off. "Our intelligence suggests the Concordat is planning to implement new development zones that would effectively quarantine emerging spacefaring species to their home systems until they reach certain technological benchmarks. Benchmarks they'll set, naturally. They're trying to contain us," Chen realized. "Precisely. They present it as protection for developing species, but we all know it's about controlling potential competition." Hassan's eyes hardened. "Humanity won't be caged, Captain. Not after coming this far." Chen watched as technicians swarmed around the Defiance, making final adjustments to systems that would fundamentally change humanity's place in the cosmos. "What exactly am I testing on this mission, Director?" Hassan smiled. "Something that will wipe the condescending smirks off every alien face in the Concordat, the quantum fold drive." The briefing room hummed with nervous energy as Chen addressed the 12 crew members selected for the Defiance's first test flight. Each had been chosen not just for technical expertise, but for their psychological resilience. This mission would challenge everything they thought they knew about reality. "The quantum fold isn't just a new propulsion system," Chen explained, standing before a holographic simulation of the technology. "It doesn't push against space like conventional drives, and it doesn't warp or bend space like the Concordat's fold engines. It temporarily shifts our vessel into an adjacent dimensional layer where the normal rules of spacetime don't apply." Lieutenant Kira Yoshida, their quantum physicist, raised her hand. "Captain, with respect, I've read the theoretical models. What we're attempting, it's not just revolutionary. It's practically impossible according to every known law of physics." "Every known law of human physics," Patel corrected. "And everything we've reverse engineered from Concordat technology. But we've discovered something they missed, or something they're deliberately ignoring." Chen nodded. "During our archaeological dig on Mars 7 years ago, we found something buried deep beneath the surface, something that predates not just human civilization, but potentially the current iteration of the Concordat itself." The hologram shifted to show images of an artifact, a small crystalline octahedron, seemingly simple but emanating with complex quantum signatures that defied analysis. "We call it the Keystone," Chen continued. "It took us years to understand even its basic principles, but what we discovered changed everything we thought we knew about dimensional physics. The Concordat species navigate space by warping it. We've learned to step outside it entirely." The crew exchanged glances, a mixture of excitement and apprehension on their faces. "Our mission is simple but unprecedented," Chen said. "We'll take the Defiance to the edge of the solar system, activate the quantum fold drive, and attempt a controlled dimensional shift that should place us near Alpha Centauri in what will appear to be an instant. If successful, we'll have achieved what the Concordat considers impossible: true dimensional translation without conventional spatial distortion." Engineer Marcus Okafor shook his head in wonder. "No wonder we're keeping this quiet. The technological implications alone would completely upend the galactic power structure," Chen finished for him. "Which is precisely why we need to be absolutely certain it works before we reveal our hand. The test is scheduled for 600 tomorrow. Get some rest. You're about to make history." The pre-launch sequence for the Defiance looked nothing like conventional spacecraft procedures. There were no massive fuel loads, no gravitational compensators warming up, no antimatter containment fields being established. Instead, the vessel's systems created complex quantum entanglement patterns throughout its structure, essentially preparing it to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Chen sat in the captain's chair, surrounded by interfaces displaying information that would have been incomprehensible to her just a few years ago. The dimensional coordinates, quantum stability matrices, reality cohesion factors, all representing concepts that had barely existed in theoretical physics before the discovery of the keystone. All systems nominal, Captain, reported Lieutenant Commander Diana Rodriguez from the operations console. Quantum coherence at 98.7% and holding steady. Dimensional anchor systems online and calibrated, added Lieutenant Yoshida. Keystone resonance is stable. Chen took a deep breath. This moment, this technology, would forever change humanity's destiny. No longer would they be the cosmic equivalent of amusing children, tolerated but never truly respected by the galactic community. Begin departure sequence, she ordered. Take us out, helm. The Defiance slipped out of its underwater dock and ascended through the Pacific waters without causing so much as a ripple on the surface. Its gravitic nullification field rendered it virtually undetectable to conventional sensors, and the quantum masking technology developed from the keystone made it invisible to even the most sophisticated Concordat scanning systems. As they left Earth's atmosphere, Chen couldn't help but think about how far humanity had come, and how far they still had to go. From the first primitive rockets to the current interstellar vessels, humans had accomplished in centuries what took most species millennia. Yet they were still dismissed, still patronized, still treated as irrelevant by species that had evolved earlier or faster. That was about to change. We've cleared the lunar orbit, Captain, the helm officer announced, ready to proceed to the test coordinates. Take us there, Chen ordered. Dr. Patel, begin the quantum fold preparation sequence. As the Defiance accelerated toward the outer solar system, Chen received a private message on her console. Director Hassan's face appeared, his expression grave but determined. Captain, there's something you should know before you proceed with the test, he said quietly. Our intelligence assets have intercepted communications suggesting the Arcturians may have detected unusual quantum fluctuations from our project. They haven't identified the source yet, but they're curious. Chen felt her stomach tighten. Do we abort? Hassan shook his head. On the contrary, we accelerate. If they're starting to notice us, we need to perfect this technology before they can develop countermeasures. The scheduled test remains, but be prepared for complications. Understood, Director. Chen ended the transmission, her resolve hardening. If the Arcturians or any other Concordat species were beginning to suspect humanity's true capabilities, the window of opportunity might be closing faster than anticipated. The quantum fold test wasn't just a scientific milestone anymore. It was becoming a strategic necessity. Dr. Patel, she called across the bridge. Let's push the timeline. I want final preparations complete within the hour. Patel looked up, surprise evident on his face. Captain, the protocols call for at least 3 hours of system stabilization before. The protocols just change, Chen replied, her voice carrying an edge that silenced further objections. Humanity has been patient long enough. It's time we showed the galaxy what we're truly capable of. As the Defiance raced toward its destiny, the vast emptiness of space stretched out before them, an emptiness that would soon be irrelevant to humanity's reach. The galaxy had laughed at them for generations. No one would be laughing after today. The quantum fold revelation. The Defiance hovered at the edge of the solar system, a tiny mote of human defiance against the vast cosmic ocean. Inside the vessel's quantum-stabilized bridge, tension wrapped around the crew like an invisible field. Final system check complete, Dr. Patil announced, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that displayed information in configurations no other species had conceptualized before. Quantum coherence holding at 99.1%. Dimensional anchor systems synchronized. Captain Chen nodded, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the command console. Status of the Keystone integration. Lieutenant Yoshida monitored the pulsing crystalline artifact now embedded in the heart of the ship's systems. Keystone resonance is stable and synchronized with the quantum field generators. Energy patterns indicate optimal conditions for dimensional translation. Chen took a moment to look at each crew member's face. They were about to attempt something no known species in the galaxy had achieved. True dimensional shifting rather than mere spatial manipulation. If successful, the implications would reshape humanity's future among the stars. If it failed, best not to dwell on that possibility. Begin the quantum fold sequence, she ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The lights dimmed slightly as power redirected to the experimental systems. On the main view screen, a simulation displayed the complex quantum fields forming around the vessel, layers of reality flexing and interweaving in patterns that seemed to defy visual comprehension. Quantum field stability at 97%, reported Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez. Dimensional resonance building. We're approaching the critical threshold. Chen felt a subtle vibration through the deck plates, not mechanical, but something more fundamental, as if reality itself was beginning to hum around them. Keystone energy output increasing, Yoshida called out, a note of concern entering her voice. Captain, it's exceeding predicted parameters by 15%, now 20%. Patil moved quickly to her station. Compensating with the dimensional stabilizers, we need to maintain the harmonic balance or. The ship shuddered, not violently, but with a strange rippling sensation that seemed to pass through the crew's bodies as much as through the vessel itself. What's happening? Chen demanded, gripping her chair as reality seemed to flicker around them. The Keystone is resonating with something, Yoshida said, her eyes wide as she studied the readings. Another quantum signature, incredibly distant but somehow connected. It's accelerating the fold process beyond our control parameters. Before Chen could issue new orders, the view screen erupted with light. Not blinding, but prismatic, as if they were witnessing the universe through a multifaceted lens. For a heart-stopping moment, everyone on the bridge experienced the impossible. They could see in every direction simultaneously, across multiple layers of reality. Then, abruptly, everything stabilized. The vibrations ceased. The lights returned to normal. The view screen showed a starfield that appeared ordinary at first glance. Status report, Chen ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. Rodriguez checked her instruments, confusion evident on her face. All systems functioning normally. Hull integrity at 100%. Quantum field has collapsed. No, that's not right. It's harmonized. Where are we? Chen asked the question everyone was thinking. The navigation officer worked frantically at his station. Stellar cartography is recalibrating. These stars don't match any patterns in our database. Wait. He paused, his face draining of color. Captain, if these readings are correct, we're in the vicinity of Alpha Centauri. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Alpha Centauri, their intended destination, over 4 light-years from Earth, reached not in years or months or even days, but in moments. That's impossible, Patil muttered, though the evidence on the screens contradicted his statement. Even with the theoretical models, we shouldn't have been able to achieve such a precise translation on our first attempt. Chen stared at the stars on the view screen. Confirm our position with multiple methods. I want absolute certainty. As the crew scrambled to verify their location, Yoshida made another discovery. Captain, the Keystone's quantum signature has changed. It's evolved somehow. The patterns are similar but more complex, as if it's learned something during the translation. An adaptive quantum mechanism. Patil's scientific curiosity temporarily overcame his shock. That would explain how it compensated for our conservative calculations. Position confirmed, Captain. The navigation officer interrupted. We are indeed in the Alpha Centauri system, approximately 2.3 million kilometers from Proxima Centauri, the very coordinates we were targeting. Chen could hardly believe it. The quantum fold technology had worked far better than anyone had dared hope. What would have taken conventional human ships months, and even the fastest Concordat vessels days, had been accomplished virtually instantaneously. "Any sign that we've been detected?" she asked, suddenly concerned about revealing their presence so close to one of the Concordat's major outposts. "Negative, Captain," Rodriguez replied after checking the sensor readings. "Our quantum masking field is functioning at 100% efficiency. As far as conventional sensors are concerned, we don't exist." Chen nodded, relief mingling with the exhilaration of their achievement. "Prepare a status report for Earth. Use the quantum entanglement communicator. No detectable transmissions." As the crew carried out her orders, Chen moved to the science station, where Yoshida continued to study the altered keystone readings. "What do you make of this?" Chen asked quietly. "The changes to the keystone weren't in any of our projections." Yoshida shook her head, equally mystified. "It's as if the artifact is more awake now. The quantum patterns are self-organizing in ways that suggest a higher order of complexity than we initially measured. It's not intelligence as we understand it, but it's definitely not just a passive tool either." Could it be dangerous? Chen needed to know if they were carrying something potentially unstable at the heart of their ship. "I don't think so," Yoshida replied slowly. "The patterns are harmonious, not chaotic. If anything, it seems more stable now, more integrated with our systems. It's as if the translation process completed something that was unfinished within the keystone itself." Before they could discuss further, an alarm sounded from the tactical station. "Captain, we have company," Lieutenant Park reported. "Arcturian patrol vessel approaching Proxima Centauri from the outer system. They haven't detected us yet, but their trajectory will bring them within range of their advanced quantum fluctuation sensors in approximately 12 minutes. Chen straightened up. This was an unexpected complication. The Arcturians possessed some of the most sophisticated detection technology in the Concordat, designed specifically to identify unusual quantum states. If they got close enough, even the Defiance's masking field might not conceal the lingering traces of their dimensional translation. "Options?" she asked, looking at her senior officers. "We could attempt another quantum fold back to Earth," Paddle suggested. "The keystone seems more than capable." "Too risky without analyzing the first jump properly," Yoshida countered. "We have no idea if the enhanced resonance pattern will repeat or if it might overcompensate." Rodriguez offered another possibility. "The Horsehead Nebula is less than 0.4 light-years from our current position. Its radiation and particle density would mask any quantum signature we emit, and it's technically outside Concordat-claimed space." Chen considered their options quickly. "Set course for the Horsehead Nebula. Maximum conventional speed. Let's see if we can slip away before they get close enough to detect anything unusual." The Defiance accelerated smoothly, its advanced propulsion systems, themselves considerably more sophisticated than what humanity had publicly revealed to the Concordat, pushing it quickly away from the approaching Arcturian vessel. For several tense minutes, it seemed they would escape unnoticed. Then Park's tactical console lit up with warnings. "Captain, the Arcturian vessel has altered course. They're increasing speed and moving to intercept our trajectory." "Have they detected us?" Chen demanded. Park shook his head, confused. "I don't think so. Their sensors aren't directly focused on us. It's more like they've detected something in the general region, where we performed the quantum fold. Some kind of residual dimensional distortion." Chen exchanged a glance with Patel. This was a development they hadn't anticipated. The quantum fold apparently left traces in spacetime, subtle ripples that advanced sensors could detect, even if they couldn't identify the source. "Maintain course and speed," Chen ordered. "Let's see what they do." On the tactical display, they watched as the Arcturian vessel slowed near the coordinates where they had first appeared in the system. It began moving in a search pattern, its sensors visibly active and scanning in all directions. They're definitely looking for something, Park confirmed. Deploying specialized sensor drones now. Yoshida looked up from her console with alarm. Captain, those are quantum signature analyzers. If they reconstruct the dimensional echoes accurately enough, they might be able to determine that the distortion was artificially generated. Chen faced a difficult decision. If the Arcturians discovered evidence of humanity's quantum fold technology, they might alert the entire Concordat. Earth wasn't ready to reveal their breakthrough yet, not until they had thoroughly tested and refined it. New plan, she announced. We're going to give them something else to think about. Lieutenant Park, prepare a series of micropulse torpedoes, minimum yield. Program them to detonate in a pattern that will mimic a natural quantum fluctuation from Proxima's stellar corona. Park raised an eyebrow, but quickly set to work. The micropulse torpedoes were another technology humanity had kept hidden from the Concordat. Tiny, virtually undetectable projectiles capable of creating precisely calibrated energy disturbances. Torpedoes ready, Captain, Park reported after a few minutes. Trajectory calculated to approach from Proxima's far side. They'll appear to be nothing more than stellar plasma ejections with unusual quantum properties. Fire, Chen ordered. The torpedoes launched silently, their propulsion systems leaving no detectable energy trail. They arsed wide around the Arcturian vessel's sensor range before curving back toward the star. When they detonated, the effect was subtle but precisely calculated. A series of quantum fluctuations rippled outward from Proxima Centauri, creating a much more powerful signature than the fading echoes of the Defiance's dimensional translation. The effect on the Arcturian vessel was immediate. It abandoned its search pattern and turned toward the star, all its sensors now focused on the apparently natural phenomenon. It worked, Park said with relief. They're completely fixated on the stellar activity. Let's not waste the opportunity, Chen replied. Resume course for the Horsehead Nebula. Maximum speed. I want us well clear of this system before they realize they're chasing ghosts. As the Defiance slipped away, Chen couldn't help feeling a mix of triumph and concern. They had successfully tested the quantum fold technology and evaded detection, but the incident with the Arcturians suggested that complete secrecy might be harder to maintain than they had hoped. 3 days later, the Defiance hung suspended within the vast, swirling clouds of the Horsehead Nebula. The vessel's external sensors captured breathtaking images of cosmic dust and gases illuminated by the light of distant stars, creating a cathedral of color that stretched for trillions of kilometers in every direction. Inside, however, the focus was entirely on analyzing the quantum fold test and preparing for their return to Earth. The dimensional translation was 99.97% accurate, Paddle reported in the senior staff briefing. Far more precise than our most optimistic projections. The keystone didn't just facilitate the fold, it actively optimized it during the process. Yoshida agreed. We've been studying the artifact for years, but I don't think we truly understood its capabilities until we activated it in a real fold scenario. It's not just a key to dimensional shifting. It's more like a living navigational system. The question is, Chen said, can we control it reliably? The test exceeded our parameters significantly. That's wonderful when we're aiming for Alpha Centauri, but what if we need precision on a solar system scale, or even planetary? I believe we can, Yoshida replied. Now that we understand how the keystone responds during an actual fold, we can adjust our integration protocols to allow for its enhancements while maintaining navigational control. Chen nodded, then turned to Rodriguez. What about the temporal aspects? The model suggested potential time dilation effects during translation. None detected, Captain, Rodriguez confirmed. Our chronometers remained perfectly synchronized with Earth Standard Time. Whatever dimension we move through during the fold, time appears to flow consistently with our baseline reality. This was another significant discovery. One of the theoretical concerns about dimensional translation had been the possibility of temporal disruption, arriving at the destination days or even years after departure, from the perspective of the outside universe. The fact that the quantum fold appeared to avoid this problem made it even more revolutionary. "And the Arcturians?" Chen asked, turning to Park. "Still investigating the stellar phenomena we created," he reported with a hint of satisfaction. "They've been joined by 2 science vessels. From what we can intercept of their communications, they believe they've discovered a previously unknown type of quantum interaction in Proxima's corona. They're absolutely fascinated." A ripple of amusement passed through the room. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. While one of the Concordat's most advanced species busied themselves studying a manufactured distraction, the supposed primitive humans had achieved what the entire Concordat considered theoretically impossible. "What's our next move, Captain?" Patil asked, bringing them back to the immediate concerns. Chen activated a holographic star chart. "We'll remain here for another 48 hours to complete our analysis and ensure the keystone is fully stabilized. Then we return to Earth using the quantum fold. Director Hassan and the unified government will need our complete report before making decisions about how to proceed." Her expression turned serious as she looked around at her senior officers. "What we've accomplished here changes everything, not just for humanity, but potentially for the entire galactic power structure. The Concordat has maintained its dominance largely through control of interstellar travel technology. They carefully regulate which species get access to which level of spatial manipulation capabilities. And we've just bypassed their entire framework," Patel finished her thought. "Precisely," Chen nodded. "Which means we need to be extremely careful about how and when we reveal this technology. The Concordat could react with diplomatic isolation, economic sanctions, or even military intervention if they perceive us as a sufficient threat. Or they could be forced to accept us as equals," Rodriguez suggested. "If we demonstrate capabilities they can't match, they might have no choice but to reconsider humanity's status." "That's the hope," Chen agreed. "But we need to approach this strategically. A public demonstration, carefully planned and executed, with sufficient safeguards in place to protect the technology and Earth itself." The meeting continued as they discussed the technical and strategic implications of their breakthrough. By the time they adjourned, the outline of a plan was taking shape, a plan that would culminate in humanity's formal introduction to the galactic community as a technological power that could no longer be dismissed. Late that night, ship's time, Shen found herself alone in the observation lounge, staring out at the glorious nebula surrounding them. The swirling colors and patterns seemed to mirror the tumultuous thoughts in her mind. They had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. The quantum fold technology worked. Humanity had the key to instantaneous interstellar travel, a capability that would transform them from galactic afterthoughts to major players overnight. Yet with that success came enormous responsibility. How would the Concordat species react when they discovered what humans had achieved? Would they welcome humanity as equals, or would they see them as a threat to be contained, or worse? The door to the observation lounge slid open, and Chen turned to see Yoshida enter, carrying 2 mugs of what smelled like real coffee, a luxury on a spacecraft. "Thought you might be here," the quantum physicist said, offering one of the mugs to Chen. "It's traditional for captains to brood dramatically while staring at celestial phenomena after making history-changing discoveries." Chen accepted the coffee with a grateful smile. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who's been doing the same thing in the lab," Yoshida admitted, taking a seat beside her. "I've been running simulations all night, trying to understand exactly what happened with the keystone during the fold." "Any insights?" Chen asked. Yoshida hesitated. "Nothing concrete yet, but there's something about the quantum patterns. They remind me of something I once studied in theoretical xenorchaeology, patterns found in artifacts from extinct civilizations, particularly the precursors." Chen raised an eyebrow. The precursors were a mysterious species believed to have dominated the galaxy millions of years before any current species evolved intelligence. Little was known about them, except that they had possessed technology far beyond even the most advanced Concordat achievements. "You think the Keystone might be precursor technology?" she asked, the implication sending a chill down her spine. "I don't know," Yoshida admitted. "But if it is, that raises even more questions. How did it end up buried on Mars? Why can humans utilize it when apparently none of the Concordat species can? And most importantly, what else can it do that we haven't discovered yet?" Chen pondered these questions as she sipped her coffee. The Keystone had already transformed humanity's future, if it contained even more secrets waiting to be unlocked. Her communicator chirped, interrupting her thoughts. It was Rodriguez. "Captain, we're receiving an encrypted transmission from Earth. Director Hassan requests your immediate attention. He says the Concordat has called an emergency session. Something about dimensional anomalies detected in multiple sectors." Chen exchanged a look with Yoshida. So much for keeping their breakthrough secret until they were ready to reveal it. "Acknowledge," she replied. "Tell the senior staff to assemble in the conference room in 15 minutes. And Lieutenant, prepare the quantum fold drive. I have a feeling we're going to need to return to Earth sooner than planned." As Yoshida hurried out to prepare the Keystone for another translation, Chen took one last look at the nebula swirling outside. Humanity's moment of revelation was approaching faster than anyone had anticipated. The galaxy had laughed at them for generations, dismissed their potential, underestimated their determination. No one would be laughing much longer. The quantum fold was about to change everything. Humanity's new dawn. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Concordat hummed with tension. Representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations filled the tiered seats of the massive chamber, their varied physiologies creating a living mosaic of evolutionary divergence. Diplomatic translators worked furiously to keep pace with the overlapping discussions as rumors and speculations spread throughout the hall. At the center of it all stood the High Council, 7 representatives from the founding species of the Concordat, the self-appointed architects of galactic civilization. Diplomat Zorvac of the Meridian Collective pulsed with agitation, his gelatinous form shifting through shades of deep purple that indicated distress in his species. "Order!" boomed the voice of Archon Cloverin, the massive crystalline Silurian who currently held the position of Council Prime. "This emergency session will come to order." Gradually, the cacophony subsided as representatives returned to their designated positions. The Archon's faceted body refracted light in complex patterns that conveyed authority and gravity beyond what the universal translators could express in words. "We have convened this emergency session to address a matter of grave concern to the stability and security of our galactic community," Cloverin announced. "Over the past 7 standard cycles, our monitoring stations have detected unprecedented dimensional anomalies in multiple sectors." A holographic display materialized above the central platform, showing a star map with several points marked in pulsing red. Each represented a location where sensors had detected what the Concordat scientists were calling dimensional fractures, places where the very fabric